Hello again, everyone. This is Game Collector, and welcome to week 3 of Gundam month. This week, we have the Seravee Gundam, best known as in the second season as Celestial Being's long-range assault mobile suit. Well, not really long-range, but you get what I mean. This is the heavy, the big guy with the big guns. And speaking of big guns, here's one of them. The back is kind of folded, so just fold that down, and that's what it looks like. Essentially, both of these, they're supposed to be bazookas, but they look more like rifles to me. Inside is painted yellow, and there's this little green bit here. And it can do this. Move up a little bit. That's for the combined mode, which I may or may not be able to do if the parts are willing to cooperate. So right now I'm going to put them in the standard default position, which may take a little work. Oh, there you go. It's inside of his fist. It's in. Need to push it down, turn it, and then peg it into his forearm. Now these things are heavy, and even this figure is heavy. All this mass, that's solid. He is very, very big, very heavy for a little tiny figure, pardon me. So, let me get this other one in there. Come on. Get in there. As you can obviously tell, it does take a little bit of work to get the bazookas into his hands. And while, yeah, as you're probably seeing right here, it does have the handles for the combined mode. I've tried and I haven't been able to do it yet. But I've only had this guy for like all of 2 days now. I have not been able to, for the love of me, figure out how to make him hold it with 2 hands. The back bits with the handles keep getting in the way. So I keep running into problems with that. And, oh, yeah, there you go. It's in his hand now. And it's almost there. And click. There you go. Now he has the giant bazookas. He also has the shoulder ones, which you might think is a bit excessive. Or not excessive enough. Because he also has these. Yep. The knee-mounted bazookas. That is 6 guns at once, ladies and gentlemen. That's a whole lot of gun. But then again, it is called a Gundam. Now, as I mentioned, he does have the giant twin bazooka, which I will attempt to show you. You pull out little bits underneath the rifles right here, rifle, bazooka, whatever. This little tab. And I have to do it on this one too, and they both go in opposite directions of one another. Oh, I can raise it up and show you from there. But there is one slight problem with them. The little connections that they're attached to, this little green piece, or gray piece as I meant to say, this entire section between my thumbs likes to pop out completely. I'm considering gluing them in, but I'm not sure. I would appreciate some comments in anywhere. Yeah, see? Just like that. Yeah, see? I'm really thinking about gluing these into the bazookas so they don't keep coming apart like this. It takes away from the figure. But I will say this, I got this figure secondhand, and I must say the previous owner really took good care of it. When I got it and opened it up, it was like it was never opened. So apparently whoever owned it prior to myself took really good care of it, except for those parts. I don't know how often they displayed it with the super mega hyper buster rifle or buster bazooka thing. Burst mode, I don't know. It's been a while since I watched. And I don't have it on DVD, so sadly. And no, I don't download them either because, well, I'm lazy. But that's it, and it's bazooka mode, combined bazooka mode, and it's actually holding up pretty well. I'm not going to open it up for fear of making it fall apart again. As you saw me had to fiddle around with that. Also notice, you may or may not notice there are a couple little nubs sticking back there. I'll get onto those in a little bit. But, he also came with 2 beam sabers. Sadly, he did not come with enough to do the whole 6 saber thing. And that's where this toy line grabs your wallet. If you want to have the 6 sword wielding mode, you have to buy all 4 Gundams. The 00, the Cheridem, the Seravee, and the Arios. Arios and Cheridem come with 1 saber each. 00 and Seravee come with 2 sabers each, so that's the only way you can get the 4 sword quad wielding effect, or sextuple wielding effect. I'll be able to display with 4 swords, but he will also be wielding 2 bazookas, but not right now, because I'm going to get on to his other attack mode after I get the parts put in properly. So there's that. Unpeg. Okay, so yeah, these like to come out. I'm thinking about applying a little bit of glue on either on that little tiny green piece right there that's sticking out, or inside the little tiny cup, and just pressing them together and not messing with them. I'm thinking it will probably devalue the figure or something. Probably not, because I'm not gonna give it up, unlike its previous owner. Because, hey, completionism! Now, these little shoulder bits right here, the little shoulder cannons, as I'm clearly trying to take them apart, the little covers, there we go, do take a little bit of work to get off. Ah, there you go. The second one didn't take too much effort. Now, it comes with these little paddle pieces that are colored green in the front and transparent after that. Show you right here. Now, the hands that also came with it have this metallic green paint on it, like the cannons. That metallic green paint is absent from the actual covers, or yeah, from the little panel pieces. So that might be a bother to you. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, to be completely honest. When I did see an initial review for this figure, I'm like, aww, that did bother me at first, but eventually I'm like, you know what, it's not that bad. So they obviously did that to save on budget, no doubt, but it doesn't really add or subtract anything. Now, it is kind of difficult to get his arms into the position to hold the bazookas while they're propped up on his shoulders. I haven't tried this yet. You're being the first ones to see it. But it is kind of hard, and I kind of figured it would be because his wrists aren't all that articulate as the box likes to let on. I'm assuming that was that was a prototype figure because the little panels on his backpack and legs are the same metallic color. And raise these up, and boom, you have the two hyper bazookas and the... You know what, let me raise the camera up a bit to its normal height. I lowered it down so you could get a look at his head a little bit better, because my lighting isn't all that great today. So I will raise it up and then lower the camera down a bit and adjust it. And there. That's still a lot of gun. And because it's Seravee and it needs to charge up GN particles, and you have to kind of jerry-rig this piece off. And then put this other piece back on. And if you're seeing what you think you're seeing, you might be right. Uh-oh. He's not holding on to the other bazooka properly. Now, he's not really holding on to either one of them properly, so that's the only real myth I have about this mode. He goes into face burst mode, so he can either expel greater amounts of GN particles, and then it goes boosh, 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 and big lasers firing everywhere, blowing things up. So there's that. Now, as I was saying, he can wield 6 swords, and unfortunately the toy does not allow for such an ability, so these little peg parts back here, pop, do exactly that. This little itty bitty tiny thing will go right in here, like so. You know, because it came out of the back of this. Whoa! Don't think I'm going to do that again, because you can see there's a little bit of white there. Yeah, don't think I'll be doing that again Whoa! There's a dent there. Yeah, don't think I'll be doing that again anytime in the near future. Because I want this figure to last just as long as the 00 has. And you, hopefully, remembered if you watched the 00 video. Oh. This one came out so much easier. No struggle at all and no dents. Can I get a yay? Now, just as you probably know what these are, or rather what they belong to, you will also know that the ones on the knees can deploy little grabby hands to hold down opponents. So something else can happen to them. But I'll get into that later on. Probably in the next review if the next figure doesn't get here in time. Or you may end up with, well, you'll see. You may or may not enjoy it. Now, the ones on the legs are so much easier to take apart because there's no extra joint in there. The joints are all on the outside, which I am happy about. One of the downsides of this figure, because of his heaviness, most of his bulk is in his legs and back. This kind of makes him very and quite obviously back heavy. So unless the legs are firmly planted on the ground, he's going to fall over backwards. Or firmly planted on whatever flat surface, it can and will fall over backwards. And land on its backpack, which you really do not want to happen. So let me pull these little things out. Little transparent green plates. And readjust the camera so he's not foggy looking. And falling camera. Sorry about that. And thankfully he landed on his side instead of on his back. I'm very sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And now all I have to do is move his arms out of the way so I can put the covers back on. And goes here. And the other here. And yes, he can now wield 2 guns and 2 swords. But what did I mention before? Well, here are the beam sabers from the 00. Inside the other set of hands, there you go. I personally prefer having the upper hands facing backwards. Though technically the cannon hands have 2 thumbs each. And it does come with 3 sets of cannon hands. You have the holding things hands, as you see there, which are all equipped and ready to make a salad out of whatever mobile suit unfortunate enough to get close to it. And these open finger casual hands. Now, if you can see this little dent by my index finger here, that is the second thumb, which means, depending upon how it is positioned, it can just flip the thumbs out. Came with 2 of those, and you will probably see why in the next review. But there you go. All 4 swords out of 6, which is pretty good considering what I got first. And of course, if something moves away from its giant swords, it can always pull these things out and go blam, 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 and just blow them up. Of course, it has elbow joints, and all 6 hands are on ball joints, on a ball socket. The shoulders themselves are articulated in a variety of ways, and I'll have to take off his backpack in order to show you, because this thing does get in the way. And sword goes flying. Thankfully, it didn't go very far. Now, as you saw in the backpack, it also has this giant hole there, because Seravee does not contain the GN drive. Instead, it has a GN condenser, or to be more precise, a capacitor. A very, very big one. I'd go into the whole detail about it, but you probably don't care. So, the shoulder is on multiple joints connected to the body here. There's a lot of movement in that shoulder. The little panel here is on its own joint, so you can move it in and out, but not a lot because of all that bulk. The flaps here also move up and down as well. And It actually has double jointed legs, but the second joint doesn't make it go very far. Even with the elbow thing in there, this is about as far back as I can get the leg to go, and that's pretty far for a gigantic leg. Oh, speaking of legs and joints, move the one arm out of the way. The foot is also on a, I can't really tell if that's a hinge, probably is, and then the foot is inside on a ball joint. The ankle, it has an hinged ankle and a ball joint on the foot. Now, this is on a hinge, and this part is on a hinge, but the actual arm piece is on a ball joint, so it has a pretty big range of movement considering that it just tucks into his kneecap. Or becomes his kneecap, yes. The wrists are also on ball joints, because you obviously saw them. Duh. And the head, which I haven't really gotten to mess with, because with the backpack, it really limits the directions it can look. And even without it, it doesn't really move a whole lot, because there's a lot of bulk in its head. And if you noticed, because I noticed this a little bit ago, it has a the head is vaguely shaped like the double Zeta. Vaguely. All I know is that the forehead gem is shaped exactly like the double Zetas, but without the little gun inside. Why would it need a gun inside of its head? It has guns inside of its knees and on its backpack and in its hands. It already has enough guns. Or does it? Because there is a second version of this figure that has been released. And you have to buy 2 sets in order to complete it. And that's... The backpack gets 2 other packs attached to it. That's 4 extra guns. It already has 6, so now it has 10? What? Do you really need 10 bazookas at once? That's overkill! That is epic level overkill! So, let me just... Got the sword back, and here's the backpack with the GN drive sticking out of there. I was thinking about painting it red, but, you know, considering, I changed my mind. I don't want to repaint anything on this figure. It's already a high-quality figure. Why would I want to mess it up? And besides, the fact that it kind of has to click in and out using a combination of friction and little pegs, of course, that would still cause the paint to chip. So, that's a no-no. That's a big no-no. And there it is. The Seravee Gundam. In all of its sword and gun-wielding glory. And that has been part 3 of Gundam Month. This may be a part A or a part B, depending. Because you probably know what's coming after this. And I will see you later.